So I wanted to make this video so that I can explain the rest of the drawings, whoever the psychologists are, and to verify how they had targeted me, Frankie, Mickey, and Diana. And this was strictly the gay community. I already made lots of videos, and I'm kind of hesitant to talk about it because they're shooting so many electronic devices at me that I immediately forget about what I'm trying to say, or I'm stuttering, and I'm not someone that really stutters. I wanted to speak of this because that way you can kind of understand the party of each side, so you can understand why people did what they did and what was happening to me, Frankie, and Mickey, and Diana. Even though Diana slapped my mother, even though all this, I understand the gay community is all involved with the police department. I can go on with stories and how I'm going to the grocery store and they're staging events and they're trying to make Ken Cooper look like a hero, but it's the police department. It's not someone or an organization, a gay community members, and the corruption in that to ever want to get involved in that. For me, it is better to eat out of a trash can than ever deal with those pigs, because those people like killing people. They throw them in cages. They have their political campaigns that they run and give orders to. They're not police officers. Very few, if any, and they're not willing to go against their own. And that's a for sure deal. So I'm here to make this explanation because there are psychologists, to my understanding. I believe that everyone on Facebook that I'm posting on, everything that I post on Instagram and Facebook, there's only either certain people that get to watch what I'm saying or allow that, okay, this is a safe video to post. But to my understanding, that is not going to be allowed if they don't feel that the public, because obviously if I'm crying and pleading out to people that I'm going to be murdered, nobody's doing anything, obviously, because of what's happening. So, and the President of the United States being directly involved and threatening me at Albertsons, and in more on one occasion in environments, because he was protecting Diana and Miguel from the rapes and the movement for Michael Jackson and the political White House for the blacks. So, that's all going to be explained away. So, but I want to talk about what had happened with these events. One drawing is for Funsphere. When we went to Funsphere, I was about 11 years old. It was, I want to say, it was right before my father's suicide. I'd say a year or two. I was about 10 to 11 years old. The other drawing is my biological father, and my biological father and what had happened and everything that was going on, and how he behaved, and where he did, where he walked, and what his actions were, and who's also doing some things to him that I feel very confident I think should just have a discussion with, and on this video. And the other video is the other drawing that I wanted to explain was the event that happened with Miguel's forgiveness story. And Miguel, how the guy that looked like, that was the white guy that was portraying himself, the cowboy Ken Cooper, there was lots of people that exploded, and that everyone wanted to say, no, I represent this person, and they want to fight for that side of that side. So, there's so many other people. Obviously it's way too late. Who's at the radio station with the celebrities, 50 Cent, that was Kenneth, Dave Chappelle, the entire entertainment business. It just keeps on going, and it's the worst of any human life that I've ever heard of in the public eyes of a situation, because there's just a constant knowing that I'll be murdered or I was killed innocently and I wasn't allowed to live in any normal basic means of life because of this situation. The police officers were giving me tickets. I can never express the harassment and things that they were doing were so personal against me. There were personal things that they wanted to do, and behavior and the people that led up to that. And I could never express that enough. But I'm 40 years old now, and I think it's important for me to do this, because I don't think Frankie is in any good mental situation. I don't think that Frankie, I think either Frankie's in a nursing home, or I think he had a stroke or a brain hemorrhage, or something happened where he cannot function. And I could never go into more details. That every time I go to the grocery store, it is about Ken Cooper, Sarah Cooper, and especially White Madison and Keno from 97.9 The Beat on how the gay community and white power rules over everything, and they're the right people. And I'm not telling you, I cannot express this enough to tell you enough, because I want to tell you, but I can't express it enough, that every single corner that I'm turning inside that grocery store is hands down like people pointing firearms at me for Kenneth and the transgender movement. When they try to walk in my pathway, or they start pointing at things, or they walk by me and they say something, it is always 100% the hero, the white hero, the cowboy hero. That's all it is from the top to bottom. And how, then he's going to deal with it. Then it's about Sarah Cooper. Then it's about Kenneth, and then the white. It doesn't change what had happened to me. President Barack Obama has a transgender daughter in the White House. That isn't going to ever change anything in life. The White House is done. Whatever transgenders already moved in the gay community, that's all theirs. It will always be theirs. But as far as any of this situation goes, I need to make that clear, because it's only a persecution onto me. And that is when I get on the bus, the people that get on the bus, when they start making moving gestures at me, or to try to look at me, get my attention, it's always to persecute me, scare me, threaten me, or some sort of vendetta that they want to talk about my mother or the rapes, and how their gay community member and their transgender movement dominated, and they know who the enemy is. I am a public enemy. On everything, I am a public enemy. That's how I'm treated. It doesn't matter how kind I am, respective. They just want to fuel. The bus drivers that are on these shuttles are consistently very vulgar and nasty in any attitudes that they get a chance, whether it's acting aggressive 100% of the time. It's non-stop. It's every time anywhere I go, it's constantly looking over to who wants to come at me, who wants to train me to do something else, to then do something else here when I get here that leads to something whenever I go to another different grocery store, or if I go to a restaurant. It's so consistent of everything of that. It's just persecution nonstop. But I wanted to make this discussion because, it's a faith that I have, a belief in God, that I think Frankie's life was more important than for Madison Cooper and Kenneth Cooper and that family to have been able to be worshipped and be persecuted in the public situation, because, they're doing a lot of scary things, tremendous scary things, threats and all. I talk about so much. Like, for example, right now, about 2.5 weeks ago, there was I don't talk to anybody or walk into anybody's apartment in this place, and I try to avoid anybody. I just make a sort of small chat or a hi and a bye, and that's it. Well, what they did is now they're staging something, a suicide. And this individual has some caretaker, and I didn't know, I guess he said it was his daughter, but asked me I said, why don't you come help me and help load her dad on top of a bed? And it looks like Ken Cooper. He's a white guy, he's white skin, and 81 years old, missing his leg from the kneecap down. And and I say yes because I felt like I was sort of being obligated to do it. I'm not obligated to do anything for anybody. these people want to play suicide, sacrifice suicide to take my sister away, her spirit, and put this on Sarah and Ken as heroes and Kenneth and Madison. That's all this is about. So I went over there, helped the guy, put him on his bed. It's not something that they haven't done without myself, obviously. And I talked to this guy for maybe 15 minutes, and then I left. And it was real basic. I was very, very nice, very kind to him, and just spoke to this person, but he seemed sort of raunchy about his environment and his attitude about, he has another personal vendetta against my mother and my dead sister, my biological father, and to cherish the movement of what color skin and what race and who gets the dead bodies and what. This guy's playing suicide. I don't want to play any part of this. And this is some of the scary things that they're doing. I leave and they're like, I can tell they're poisoning me, and they're like, yeah, just come over anytime you want and visit us and talk to us all the time. And I said, yeah, sure, I'll come by sometime and talk to you. And a week goes by, I haven't gone in there, and they are sort of circling around the outside and perimeter of the apartments here when I go smoke cigarettes to try to lead me to go over there. Like I'm a bad person, like go over there, like putting pressure on me. Like that's what you see you didn't do, obey Jesus and God. Oh, you don't know, you see? And that's all they want to do. And you can tell by when their attitudes and what they're doing. So 4 days ago, I go I'm downstairs in the community room. When I'm in the community room, when I'm in the community room, one of the guy's daughter, who's a caretaker, I guess she didn't live there. I guess just visits him every once in a while. Walks in there, and I can tell they're trying to get my attention to engage. And I'm just try to always play polite, or I was polite and say, hey, how's Walter doing? And he goes, yeah, he'd really like for you to come and show up and talk to him, like getting an attitude, like trying to tell me, I'm going to tell you who you're going to go do this to. And I just kind of just stay quiet and look away, and I think to myself, I don't really want to go over there, and I don't want to, and I don't plan to on any repetitive basis. And I said this before, but I thought, at least I can go ahead and give this guy a card and, just speak to him for just a moment, And I probably shouldn't have done that, but I gave him a Thanksgiving card, and kind of try to joke with him, but he has a very nasty attitude. And this is I talked to that lady 4 days ago, and it was yesterday that I went over there and had that conversation to visit him, to talk to him, give him a Thanksgiving card. When I get there, there's a picture of a Mexican girl, black hair, and they have a crucifix. And this guy, the way I'm talking to him, he's on a suicide mission. I'm not kidding that this guy's on a suicide. He wants to kill himself and end his life to take a emotional representation of my dead sister, Marissa Melendez, my mother's daughter, my sister, and help Ken Cooper, Madison, and Sarah Cooper, and especially Kenneth. So I don't know what prejudice, and obviously this bleeds into homosexuality, what movement this is, but it's 100% toxic and very nasty. But I try to ignore it as best as I can, trying to think of God. And I talked to this guy for maybe 15 minutes, and all he's doing is trying to poison me. And I could sense that this guy wants to kill himself. This guy, in my opinion, if anybody gets to watch this video, y'all should take this individual probably to a really nice nursing home where his quality of life could probably be better than the 20 years that he said that he's lived there. But I don't know who his caretaker is. I don't know who his case manager. So I was told that when that lady 4 days ago walked in and out of the community room, just sort of trying to get my attention, said that just quickly as she walked away, said that he was leaving October 11th to another place. And it's the reason why I showed up yesterday. I was like, well, before he leaves, I'll just give him a Thanksgiving card saying, God bless, and I hope you're well on your journey. At least I can go ahead and do something nice for that, but not really communicate too much. But this guy's missing his leg. They know about my mother being ran over by a forklift. And so they infest themselves in these emotions to rewire them, because the horrors that had happened to my mother, the horrors that had happened to Frankie and did happen, and to me, they want to whitewash it away, and they want to be able to completely take that and dwindle it to nothing in any form of credit to benefit that group of people. And I think it's important for me to make a video on this because, you know, I'm not gonna be involved in a guy's suicide so that you can get rid of my dead sister and this whole spiritual situation, or my dead dad, or what he did for me, or my biological father, or Michaela, and especially my mother. Now, I get bothered by this because I try to, you know, be kind and maybe make some jokes and kind of liven up, but this person has a different intention. And their suicide crisis line, and the people that are monitoring me begin threatening me, and they'll get on the phone and say, yeah, how do you like that? And they'll say real nasty, like they're vengefully getting at me, and they'll correlate this, and then someone else on the bus will say something about this guy. So, you know, this guy's name is Walter, and, you know, when I was there yesterday, there was some guy that walked by, and they were taking a mockery of the drawings that I posted yesterday about my biological father walking by the room as I was in there. So they got some piece of shit to walk in there, walk by the hotel room as I backed off and looked over to see who was coming in, because I don't know if he was coming in into one of the other apartments in the sector of the entire apartment complex where this Walter guy is, this old man. And he walks by me and he goes, and he puts his hand out like, I told you. And so these are the suicidal threats that, you know, that this individual is going to go on a suicide rampage in order to sacrifice themselves for these queers and these transgenders, and dwindle the existence and memory of the emotions and how strong an impact they were to my life, to make it benefiting for Ken and Sarah and Kenneth Cooper, for their gays and transgenders. I don't want to play a part of that. Now, I'm not trying to be homophobic, but that's exactly what's happening. I don't like my father committed suicide, and it was just a freak accident that he did. I'm not really, if this individual wants to be by himself, then it's his journey to die that way. I can't make those judgments for that individual. But I don't like the fact that other people and himself are deciding to do that to me regarding my dead sister, and the maintenance guy here and some of the other staff and some of the other residents are also kind of participating in this joke. Let's see who can kill Hector and get rid of him, and get somebody to commit suicide and get rid of whatever we want to scuffle out of him. So I want to talk about that and make a video on that because I think it's important. But like I said, I was kind, and for anybody out there that has lots of money, you know, that's my recommendation: is find a good nursing expense. You know, spend some of your money to help an old man. I don't know what this person's life, how violent it was, if this guy raped anybody, molested kids. I don't know what this story is. I just know he's an old man that is 81 years old, bedridden, with missing leg, and a very sort of raunchy attitude, and this vendetta to really make this about to whatever his sacrifice, suicide is. I find that to be suicide because, you know, the fact is when someone does that, and I have no idea who he is, and could have been a very bad person, or maybe a decent person, maybe did, you know, I don't know what this person's life was, that's the suicide that he wants to go and just says, and, you know, they're real smart and they're real intelligent to do that suicide behavior, and I just don't want to be that behavior. I think there's a difference between being by yourself when you're getting ready to die, or just wanted to go on a suicide rampage against me and my father and mother and my dead sister. And they're just trying to clean up for Kenneth because he works for the radio station and all the horrors that had happened behind that. So, like I said, I know this is staged. I know you'll have cameras there. You already threatened me with that guy that walked by making a mockery of my biological father. I don't want to be a part of your suicide and your death sacrifices. I believe in God. If you choose, please do not persecute me that way by using the mortality and death of a suicider with a crucifix, so you can choose what you want with your homosexuality and your anti-prejudice movement.